Welcome back, everyone, to the sixth house with Prashant Trivedi. So many of you have been anticipating getting to the knowledge of the sixth house, and I'm so excited to dive into that topic with you today. So, beloved PT, would you please illuminate us on the truth of the sixth house? So far, what I come to know and what's commonly known out there is it's Virgo, so it's related with the intestines, with health, with your day-to-day work, with service. So yes, of course, the body and what you eat, it all becomes very important in this house. Please share with us your knowledge.
Okay, Julie. So the thing with this thing is this, like we can go back to fifth house because every house we start, we have to go back to the last one, right? So that's how we start because it's a cycle. So we go back to the fifth house. So fifth house was intelligence and learning, right? You know, intelligence and using your mind. So, and learning. So when you learn something, okay, when you figure something out, okay, from using your intelligence, and when you learn something, so what is the next step? What is the
To
next
apply
step?
that knowledge.
Applying. Okay, so applying. So sixth house in one word can be applying. That's all. So and that's why it's an earth house. Like you said, it's the sixth house is the earth sign. Okay, like second house was the first earth house we encountered. You know, the second house. Now we are encountering the second earth house, the sixth house. Okay, so that is the main thing with this house. You know, that you have to apply. Now, how do you apply? You have to be practical for that. You know, wherever the word practicality comes, the earthiness comes. Okay, so it's a very practical house. That's why it relates to all those things like routine. Okay, because if you even got some knowledge about, let's say, about eating or diet, right? You understood it, but if you don't apply it into your day-to-day life, which is routine, like what will happen? Sickness, right? And that's what people call 6,000 or sickness, right? Like they relate this house to sickness. So it's not a house of sickness, actually. It is a house of applying, and if you don't apply, there is some result, like some consequence and reaction to that.
Oh.
Okay. So it's not by itself like people say it's a house of sickness or this or that. Like it's not. It's just actually a house of practically applying what you have learned. Okay. And if you don't take that step, a lot of people don't, like different times, different things, there are consequences. So the diseases, death, and enemies people associate this house with.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, right. Like, but what is the enemy? Like, enemy is you actually not applying yourself. What you've learned, right? Okay, and then you go in the wrong directions and things like that. So that is the problem. So it becomes an important house in terms of application. You know, like in the second house, you were still not at that. You were applying for the first house. Okay, and the first house. Now you're applying the fifth house. You've come through a more understanding, a clearer understanding, some clarity has been reached about something. And this is the time to take the next step, which is action upon that understanding. Okay, you have to do action upon that understanding. And that's where if you have laziness in regards to that. So which house will show that? Laziness. 6. Okay. So the whole concept of laziness and lack of action in that way, inaction, it becomes a 6th house issue.
Is there a planet that would indicate that laziness in particular that you would see?
I mean, there's no planet. Like the planet of action is Karma is Saturn. Okay. So Saturn is always saying action. Everything comes from action. Okay, like very simple. Like So so it can be through various factors that laziness can kind of come upon, like even Mercury or Saturn or anything like that not functioning as they should. Because Mercury is the ruler of the 6th in the sense of Virgo.
Yes.
Okay. But Saturn is very important here, and so is Mars. Okay, okay, because finally you need energy and that thing, and like when you start doing something, for example, when people say like it is very hard to do it in the beginning, right? Okay, but then you put some more effort and you do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again. It becomes easier over time, right? To do the same thing. So that is the sixth house practice.
Okay.
It gets easier in time the more you do it.
Yes.
So this house is a Upachaya house. Upachaya in Sanskrit means it's a rising house. Okay, rising means like if you keep on doing the work in it, you'll keep on going up. Like, you'll keep on rising.
Okay.
So in this, like the effort shows a result in terms of, whenever you start doing a practice, everybody knows in any field, when you start doing practice in something, the more you practice, the more easier it gets for you, the more better you get and all of that. Everybody knows that. Okay, in any field. So that is the house of that.
And that's why it's equated now to the house of work. It's not necessarily work. It's just what you're doing on a repetitive basis.
Repetitive basis. Okay, so which a lot of people in this day and age,
It's work.
Their normal job, 9 to 5, became that thing. So that became their sixth house. I mean, there was a time before that, like before these jobs existed, human beings were still there, right?
Yes.
They must have been doing something at that time too. They must have a routine, which would be some other routine,
Yes.
So whatever you do in that, like, so that's why it started showing this kind of, in this day and age, it started showing normal work, whatever employment, people have, so it's a very important house in that way, because just understanding something mentally or on intelligence level is not enough. This house shows that you have to actually apply it as a human being on a practical plane, starting with your own self and your body.
Wow, such an important house.
Yeah, if you don't do that, you will, and that's where the most quick feedback comes. Okay, which people call disease, that feedback, right?
Yes.
That feedback is called as disease, right? So it's just a feedback house, and obviously it does relate to that part of the body, the waste of part of the body, and intestines and all of that are in that part of the body. So it does deal with digestion in that way. Which is finally your fuel for producing energy, right? You eat the food, digest, and then you get the energy to do the work. Okay, so and do all the work. So that is the importance of this house. That it's like that process actually. So like intestines are doing their work, you have to do your work.
Absolutely. And that's one of the big traps I see happening today with this new age movement. They're not teaching anyone about action, and they're just teaching them these philosophies so that they can escape themselves and to feel better. But there's no connection to the practicality and working it out. Yeah,
which is a more 12th house thing, like a more escapist 12th house sort of way is being taught while ignoring the 6th. And when you ignore the 6th and you don't pay any attention to it and you don't do the work, all kinds of everything, the whole thing will totally fall apart.
Yes.
Because which we'll discuss when we discuss 12th house, because 12th house has a foundation. Its foundation is 6th house. If you don't have any 6th house, then 12th house will also fall apart. But that is, so all opposite houses, which we'll go into later when we go into later houses, how they stand on the earlier houses.
Oh, exciting!
Because we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So we couldn't. I mean, we have not reached the 7th of anything as yet. In the 7th house will be the first house, which will be 7th of the first. Okay.
Yes.
But, up till now, we have not reached any complementary houses. So that concept has not come up as yet. So the main thing here is that 6 is about this actual work, and which is what is called discipline. Okay, so it is the house of discipline. Okay, and this is the word most amount of people in the world run away from. Nobody likes that word. It's not a very, let's say, popular
Yeah.
word. And,
Everybody in this Western spirit astrology community, they all love and rave about Jupiter. And I'm like, Saturn is where it's at. That's where you get all your real rewards and the discipline that you put into it. It really creates.
Okay. How many songs do you know, Julie, like which have discipline in the title? Like you have song
None. We have to create one.
Yeah, but can you recall any song with the discipline as any word, like as one of the words in the?
No.
It's not there, right?
No.
So what does that say?
It's not popular.
It's not popular, right? Like it's not popular on this plane right now in this sector. So that's what the thing is. So the whole point is this is the house of discipline in that case. Okay. All out houses are, but this is also very important out of that. The discipline here, which is the discipline here is continuous and every day. It's daily discipline. It's not discipline which you do, okay, I did it today. So now I can rest for a month. Not that kind of discipline. Like this is discipline which happens. It's like you eat every day, right? Your digestion happens every day. It's a daily activity, right?
Yes.
So 6 hours activities are daily activities. They are not like one time and then let 1 month go. So
it's a constant.
It's a constant. It's not that thing. So it's a repetitive, constant, daily thing. I mean, so all the processes and people sometimes get lazy with those processes and that thing. And if they get disciplined about that, it lays the foundation for a lot of things, which you can do as a human being to evolve. If you can get the 6th one. So it's a positive house actually. Like it has only negative connotations in the most normal astrology. But it is actually a positive house because all houses are positive. And this is also a positive house in terms of, and it's an important house in that way. It lays the foundation for your discipline, for your rest of your activities, and applying. And obviously, it doesn't make any sense to not apply something, right? It logically does not make any sense.
Exactly.
It makes no sense whatsoever. Like so, it's a house of common sense.
Okay.
Which is called common earthly sense. Like you say, like this person is has got like earthly sense, common earthly.
Yes.
Grounded. These kind of words.
Yes.
So that's my take on 6 times.
Wonderful. So just to get like a practical example of like how a planet would interact, what would you think like Venus in the sign of Aries in the 6th would be like? And they're running, let's say, a Venus dasha.
I mean, see, you have to understand that discipline has got to happen anyway, no matter what the planet is. But like for example, if Venus is there, so Venus will try to make the discipline more enjoyable or pleasure. That's all.
No, okay. So the discipline to be more enjoyable.
So pleasure, like however you want to, because however you want to color it.
Oh.
Okay, the graha which is there is only adding some color. Right? How you going to go about it. That's all. So that's all there is. So if there's no graha, there'll be a lot of that house, of that sign which is there.
Yes.
Which will color the how to go about it.
Oh yeah, so since it's Aries and Mars, so would you say that can be very kind of action and oriented of movement forward?
But forward it will be it'll give you a good beginning, start every day.
Oh, okay.
It'll give you a good start every day, but you will have to do the work in order to finish the thing.
Yes, the completion of it.
So completion of it, like the starting is always going to be, you'll have the energy for it immediately, but you have to work. You have to have discipline in order to complete.
Okay.
Okay. So that's how you see it, like, but once you understand the basic core of it, then you can apply anything to it, like whatever, like how will that be achieved? Because you have to achieve discipline, right? In the end, like that's and every day, daily, that's what your job is here, like in that application. So you can see what energy has got what things, which sign has which things, and which graha has which things, and use those things. And then whatever is remaining in it, you put in your own hard work to finish that off. So, yeah. So because everyone should be able to do it. Like it's not been made like no matter who has got what there or not there, everybody's got to do it. But if you've got something, then you would use that energy in order to do it. That's all.
Absolutely.
That's the whole point. Yeah.
Wonderful. And, as we go through these houses, I'm realizing that it's much more than just going through the houses. Within these houses, it's contained like the knowledge and, what it is, like what life is really about and what should we be putting our attention towards. So
Yes.
It's like I see gems and hints of where to point towards, as terms of like what you're really here to do. So
Yes,
it's so profound. And I hope that everybody here is picking up on the threads that PT is putting into these houses, because it's to be applied to your life. It's very profound.
Yeah, because it's finally life only. The 12 houses are about life only. Like there are life divided into 12 aspects on a wheel. And so the whole point of that is that it should allow you to give information on life and how to live it and what to do exactly. So that's the whole point of this.
Absolutely. Here in the West, it's this for the 6, it's the concept of, oh, your work, what you do for work. And it's not about that. Like it's about discipline and going back to that word and the weight and the importance of that word and focusing our attention on our disciplines. If we were to look at astrology with these eyes, I mean, it's a whole, you just feel it. It's a huge step up.
Yes, obviously. So that's why I even sort of agreed to do this series, because I thought that it give people a different perception on on Jyotish and astrology as a whole, and basically take people towards the actual way of living correctly on this plane, so as to evolve. That is the main point in the end. Like so that as a human being, that you are having some life and you're having some time as a human being, then you should use that time for evolving, and it's an opportunity. Like so that is the whole point. Like so if any understanding comes to people, like a lot of people are interested in astrology on this plane right now. So even through that topic and that subject, some understanding should come to them about actually what human life is actually about and what they should be doing out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know so many of the viewers are so grateful for you sharing this profound and life-changing wisdom with us all. I hope that you guys were able to really take this and apply it into your own lives and really make you think about what is it that you're putting your discipline to in your everyday life, and is that geared towards your evolution. So I'll leave you with that question for all of you today to think about. And we will see you all for the 7th house, which we're going to start getting into now with the oppositions. And I'm super excited about that.
Yes.